Pettersen is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and great to see you, Chair Powell. Thank you so much for being here today. I want to thank you for your long service to our country. I know that you've served under many Democrats, Republicans. You've always been nonpartisan and done your job to put our country first, and we appreciate your steadfast leadership. And if you are not reappointed, it will be very missed here. I have some concerns when I think about, I know you've touched on this a little bit through the questions today, but around the independence of the Federal Reserve. Your job, no matter what president you served under, Republican or Democrat, was to make sure that this was not a political position while you brought news that some would not be happy about because it reflected what you had to do to address inflation. You know, when I think about the conversations we've had going through the global pandemic and the economic fallout and how we had to infuse money throughout our country to keep our services afloat, our businesses afloat. And while we suffered from inflation like the rest of the world, we had the quickest, strongest recovery. We were leading the globe. And so much of that was because of your leadership. And so when I think about what this position means, how important it is that there is independence, what are your biggest concerns about a potential successor that doesn't prioritize that and wants to do what is politically asked of them versus what they need to do for the country? And what are their long-term repercussions if you're not acting on addressing the economic uncertainties and trying to address inflation in this position?
So I wouldn't speculate on that, but I would say, the credibility of the Fed on price stability is very, very important. People believe that we will bring inflation back down to 2% over time. And once if they really do believe it and it's true, then that'll have big effects on not just short-term rates but long-term rates. If that were to be called into question, then you'd see long-term rates go up. I mean that credibility once lost is very expensive to regain, is what the historical record says. So I just think I think people should understand that credibility on inflation is hard won and something we need to constantly tend. And that's what we're doing with our current policy, is just being careful with potential inflation risks. We haven't overreacted. In fact, we haven't reacted at all. But we're being a little bit careful about that set of questions as we decide what to do next.
And thank you for bringing that up. As we look at where we were, how far we had come in our economy, things were starting to stabilize, and we were starting to finally see a relief on the interest rates. They were starting to go down. Now they're holding steady. Can you talk about why the instability? When we look at tariffs around the increase in the deficit by the proposed big ugly bill that is being brought through Congress right now and increasing our debt by trillions of dollars and having our credit downgraded again because we are increasing our deficit. So with this economic uncertainty, where we were going, we were on the way down for reducing our rates, and now we have to hold steady to address the instability. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, could you just briefly restate your question there? I apologize.
Yes, I'm going to do this as the best I can with with Sam here. That with our having to address inflation, as we've started to see it, you were able to decrease the rates. We were starting to go down a little bit. We were seeing that our economy was finally in a solid place. Prices were starting to go down. And now with the economic uncertainty, we're starting to see that you had to hold steady, whereas everyone was projecting before this administration came in with these changes that it was going to continue to go down. Can you talk about why you have had to choose to hold steady on the interest rates?
So we just, we stick to what we're assigned to do, which is maximum employment and price stability. We don't have opinions on fiscal policy or trade policy or immigration policy or any one of another regulation policy, other than that we have our regulatory responsibilities. And so we take what comes as it comes. And, elected politicians do what they do, and we don't criticize that. We don't have opinions.
Gentleman's time has expired, and the gentlelady's.
Thank you, and thank